Magandang umaga po. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again in this webinar session. This is our second webinar this morning. We actually have a total of three webinar sessions for this day, all right? And today we are talking about Oxford Reference, Answers with Authority. That's the title of our presentation this morning. But before I introduce our resource speaker, I'd also like to acknowledge Ms. Rizalyn Hanyo, who is joining us this morning as panelist to help answer some of your questions or all of your questions. But before we start, let's have a rundown of our webinar mechanics. We will be recording each session for documentation, evaluation, and dissemination purposes. Please note that by attending the webinar, you're permitting us to use any form of participation for such purposes. Questions will be collected via the Q&A chat box and answered during the Q&A portion at the end of each webinar session. The Q&A box is located at the bottom of your Zoom window. The evaluation form will also automatically appear on your web browsers once this session ends. Digital certificates will only be given to participants who have successfully registered, participated, and answered the feedback evaluation form. Please note that due to the large volume of participants, there will be a considerable delay in the dissemination of digital certificates. When we talk about reference sources, Oxford comes easily to mind. Oxford Reference is the home to Oxford's quality reference publishing with an intuitive design to deliver a discoverable, up-to-date, and expanding reference resource. Our speaker is an MBA in Human Resource, a certified instructional designer, and a certified MBTI professional. Prior to her work in Oxford, she was a school teacher for 10 years, so teaching and training come naturally to her. She is the regional customer trainer for the South Asia and Southeast Asia of online resources and journals in Oxford University Press. She is a highly motivated trainer with 18 years of experience in training small and large groups across diverse industries. She has proven success in leveraging educational theories and methodologies to design, develop, and deliver successful training programs and integrate instructional technology to provide on-site and virtual training. She is also adept at organizing and facilitating management and team building training programs and activities. Let us all welcome Ms. Sumita Sen.
Hi
Ma'am?
everyone.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You may share your screen now.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Good morning everyone and welcome to today's session on the Oxford Reference Bundle. Thank you so much for introducing me, and I think there were a lot of ego statements that went in, but that made my day. So I hope all of you enjoy the session and feel free to reach out to me even after the session if you still have questions and doubts, which we may not be able to address in this 1 hour. So these are the 11 resources that your library has subscribed to under the reference bundle. So what are we going to be covering today? We will be covering Oxford Reference Online, the Oxford English Dictionary, the Oxford Dictionaries Premium, Grove Art Online, Grove Music Online, the Oxford African American Studies Center, the American National Biography, Oxford Dictionary of National Biography, Who's Who and Who Was Who, Oxford Islamic Studies Online, and Oxford Biblical Studies Online. Quite a lot to be covered in 1 hour, but I shall try to put my best foot forward. So let me start with giving you an introduction to our company. This is the University of Oxford, headquartered in Oxford, United Kingdom. It is a department of the University of Oxford, and our primary motive is to keep developing research and education. We have about 43 online products. 11 I have already shown you. So you see, we have journals, we have ebooks, we have medicine, we have law, art, music, dictionaries, encyclopedias, you name it, we have it. So Oxford University is the oldest and largest university in the English-speaking world. And Oxford University Press is a department of the University of Oxford. We have a presence in about 51 countries, and about 6,000 people are employed worldwide, which means wherever you go, you will find an Oxford resource. This is a snapshot of the kind of material that we are making free for people during this pandemic. So if you go to our journal site, or if you go to our medicine site, if you go to any of our sites, you will see that there is a lot of research happening around coronavirus, which we have made free to the audience. You really don't need to have a subscription to read these. So this is just a snapshot. So let's begin with the first product. I will be showing you a little bit on the slide, and then we'll be doing a little live session on the product itself. So what is Oxford Reference Online? It is actually, if you look at it, right from simple fact checking to an encyclopedic entry, you get all the information in Oxford Reference. It includes dictionaries, companions, encyclopedias, plus thousands of exclusive online entries. It covers about 22 subject areas and 2 million entries represented across hundreds of subject and language reference titles. You will find notable quotations from the Oxford Dictionary of Quotations, and they're freely available. 21,000 plus illustrations, 270 historic timelines, and the Oxford Dictionary's online widget. You see, if you click on it, it will give you the definition of the word as well. I'd like to show you the platform instead of actually running you through the PPT. Here. So this is what the Oxford Reference platform looks like. These are the different subject areas, 22 subject areas. We cover, you see, it has a wide range and the kind of reference that you're looking for. So, you know, if you want a quick fact, like you just want a definition, you have dictionaries. If you want a quotation from that particular that age or that particular topic, you can look for a quotation. Timelines, depending on which time period are you looking for something. You have subject references and of course overview pages. This is just a duplication of functionality. These are the same products that are available here under the subject line. Just go back to the home page. You see there's a featured blog post at the center of the page, and this keeps changing every month. This month they are talking about which country is going to dominate the 21st century. There is a newsfeed column, and you can sign up for the RSS feed and get the information directly in your mailbox. So you have this, you have these quotes, you can check who said this. Whatever is recent is always there on the home page. And you have this interesting did you know factor. This is really, really very interesting because You get to know a lot about things that you did not know earlier. So what all can you do on this platform? You can browse and search entries, you can browse and search books. You can take a look at the books in your subscription. Now, because I'm logged in with the Oxford password, I will have access to everything. But if you log in from your library network, you will be able to see the books you have access to. And you can also download a full title list of everything that is available. If you wish to find out a little more about us, just click on the About Us tab and you would get what you're looking for. So let's take a look at something like, let's take up a musical instrument. Let's look at guitar. Here we are. So you see, it tells us there are 17,000 entries, almost 18,000 in fact. And you can actually browse your or filter your search from here. So if you want quotations on the guitar, here you are. So you see there are 13 quotations. I'll go back. If you're looking for something about timelines of the guitar, which time range? Here we are. So you see, it tells you, it gives you an idea of, so it tells you where it's coming from. This is coming from Encyclopedia's geographical reference. You see here it's coming from the subject line music. It's coming from history, modern history during this phase. So this is how you will be able to do a lot of research on whatever you are looking for. Let's open up a little research. Let's open up this and take a look at this. Here we are. So in 1939, Joaquin Rodrigo, he had his first concert performance in Barcelona. So whatever information there is, you will get it here. If you browse through subject, we did a quick search. So let's now just browse through subject and let's look at something like law. Under law, you see, we have almost 32,000 entries and 18 books. So you can actually change if you're interested only in entries or if you're interested in books, and do your filtering the way you want to. So let's open this. Here we are. It gives you an overview. It tells you where the reference entry is, gives you the length, and you can download it, save it, cite it, as and how, depending on the citation software that you use. Whichever one you're using, you can download it. So here we are. It gives you the citation information as well. Moving on to our next product, I'll have to share my screen again. I'll have to go back to yeah. Now I'm going to be talking about the Oxford English Dictionary, our next product. Now, very often I've had people asking me, what is the difference between uh, an, an Oxford dictionary and an Oxford English dictionary? So let's take a step back. All of us know that a dictionary, what does a dictionary do? A dictionary actually, when do we use a dictionary? When we don't know the meaning of a word. So what do? We look up the dictionary and we look out for the meaning and we look out for possible sentences. Now, because it's online, it gives you thesaurus, it gives you a lot more than what you would get. However, the Oxford English Dictionary, as the strapline says, it's a definitive record of the English language. What does it do? It tells you exactly when and how a particular word was used, who used it, what did he mean by it. So let me tell you the story of the Oxford English Dictionary. The Oxford English Dictionary was founded by a man called James Murray. So what would they do? They would actually send around words through advertisements, and they would say, this is way back in 1884, they would send out words and they would ask people to send entries with what is their understanding of the word. So let's say the word skyscraper, and people would write back, and these meanings, so if there were 5 people who wrote the same meaning for skyscraper, it would go into little boxes called pigeonholes. So it would go there, and this is how, you see, every word has different meanings. This is how we developed the Oxford English Dictionary. However, it was very sad that James Murray passed away when he was working on the letter T. So let me show you the Oxford English Dictionary live. Can you see the Oxford English Dictionary live? Can you see the page? Just one person, could you just confirm?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So you see, this is the Oxford English Dictionary. The advantage, the difference between a normal dictionary and an Oxford dictionary is that it gives you the history of the word. It tells you when the word was first used, who used it, what was the meaning. And you see, over the years, a lot of words have changed. The meanings of those words have changed. So just take a look, explore its history. I've just given you a brief outline because we're really, really short on time. But do read this. Click on the About section of the OED page and read its history. Now let's take a look and do a little live search on the Oxford English Dictionary. I thought I was signed in. Yeah. So now let's say I'm looking for the word skyscraper. So you see, the word was first used in 1791. Who was it used by? By this particular gentleman. Simcoe Dairy. In his diary, he had written, on the 9th of November, the wind was so fair that all sails were set, even the skyscrapers. Which means in those days, the word skyscraper was a triangular sky scale. But as far as I know, that a skyscraper is a very tall building. After that, in 1800, the skyscraper became a very tall hat. Then it became a very tall horse. It was also used for that. Finally, at the end of it, I think in 1883, it started as a very tall building. That's how we know what skyscraper is. So you see the word, every word in the English language has many different meanings. And how and when it was used is what you can see. It gives you the quote, how the person had used it. What were the word, what was the sentence in which he had used it. You see, in 1999, P. Searle said, the towering skyscrapers of concrete and glass that now dominate the skylines of Jakarta, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, and Bangkok. So every time these words have been used by some famous person or in some newspaper, it is entered here. We have a record of it. Let's take a little new word. Let's take 3G. 3G is a very new word. You see? It actually came into existence in 1995. Do you see the first time it was used in 1995. And it continues till date. There are words, so you can actually browse the whole dictionary. This is what you can do. You can browse by categories. So if you're looking for words in different subjects, you can actually take a look at words from a subject as well. So under sociology, these are the different words that are there. So if you're looking for a word specific to a particular subject, you can browse here. If you're looking for some funny words to use, you would find somebody here. So if you want to send away someone, you could turn around and say, absquatulate the person. And people would wonder, what are you trying to say? So you can look for words through categories. You can look through words through timelines. When these words entered the English dictionary. Now there are many words from different languages, you know, right from Hindi to Sanskrit to Malayan to Chinese. There are a lot of words that have found their way in the English dictionary. So let's look at some words from the 17th century. In the 17th century, these are the new words that came into the dictionary, that found its way in the Oxford Dictionary. Then you have sources, that means quotations. So you could look at the name of a source, the name of a particular famous person, and find the different words that he had used. So let's look at New York Times. From New York Times, these are the different words that walked in, and it gives you the year as well. All dictionaries don't do this. This gives you the complete history of the word. And you can go to the quotation as well, how it was used. Here we are. So if you look at the Oxford Dictionary, I could go on training about this for hours and I'll never be able to finish. There is so much to see here. Take a look at the historical thesaurus. So if you're looking for emotions, what kind of emotion are you looking for? Let's say you're looking for calmness. And it will tell you which form of the word it is, whether it's a noun or a verb, which part of the grammar does it belong to. So here we are. There are plenty of things that you can do from here. You can view our interactive graphic. So these are things that take a lot of time for me to show. So I'm just showing you that they exist. And when you have the time, please take a look at it, because we just now on product 2 and we have 9 more to cover. So just browse around this and there is a lot that you can do. We actually do a full 1 hour session on Oxford English Dictionary. So if you're interested, we could do with a lot of activities around it. Maybe sometime later. Our next product, I'm not going to the PowerPoint, but our next product is actually Oxford Dictionaries. So what does the dictionary do? The dictionary actually just gives you the meaning of a word. Whereas the Oxford English Dictionary gives you the history of a word. It tells you when the word first came into existence. When you move to the Oxford Dictionaries, you will see that it has different. So let's say we're looking for the UK dictionary and you can type a word. Let's type now remember, this is not Google. If you put the wrong spelling, it will not read it. Here. Standard dictionary, it gives you more examples, it gives you example sentences, and it gives you the meaning. This is what a simple dictionary does. However, Oxford Dictionaries has this wonderful thing of translating. So if you want the Spanish word for flabbergasted, it gives you the Spanish word. So there are actually 8 languages that it covers. But I think it's going through some migration, which is why we cannot see the subject. But otherwise, there are 8. You have Arabic, you have Spanish, you have Latin, you have UK English, you have US English. Okay, so there is nothing with flabbergasted in grammar. So in grammar, let me choose something like convince. Again, in grammar, we have nothing. But we have it in the thesaurus. Let's see. You have lots of meanings that you get lots of synonyms. You can use the keyboard as well, depending on which language you're looking at. So right now it's reading Oxford English and Spanish Dictionary, and it's taking us to the Spanish keyboard. So from here you have dictionary. There are plenty of nice games, to improve your language that you can take part in. How many words begin with X? So you see, you'll find so many of these. when to use the words shall and will. So, you know, there are always new things being added. Foreign words and phrases now used in English. So see, this is from French, from Latin. Interestingly, you have lots of games as well. So we could do this, which is the British rhyming slang for curry. Let's try this. So you continue doing it and you keep getting scored. And every time you'll have new quizzes and games. So it's a great way of actually improving your language. So this is another product that we really promote. The next product that we're going to be talking about is the Oxford Art Online. If you look at the Oxford Art Online, you will see it is the foremost scholarly art encyclopedia. So you would get art pieces right from prehistory to the present day. You can browse through field, what kind of art do you want, which stage of art. You can browse through which medium of art are you looking for. You can browse through an era, timelines, region. So let's browse through region. Let's look at Asia. Waiting for the page to load. Here. So when we are talking about Asia, you can further filter here, or maybe filter here. And you can check if you have something from your region. Let's look at Philippines. I think Philippines would be far away. Looking at JKLM. So you see you have Malaysia, which is close to you. You can browse through place type and through a painter. So let's say I'm looking for something by, let's think of a good, let's look for sunflowers. We're just doing a search on sunflowers. This is actually the most famous painting by Van Gogh. Oil on canvas. So, okay, I'm not signed in, which is why it's showing me a red lock. So here we are. You could open this. You can download the image as a PowerPoint to use it in your research work. So you could cite this picture. download it. This is how it would be. The citation information would come in. But again, you can download them for no commercial purpose, but only for education. Let's look at another interesting one, which is fashion jewelry and body art, which is currently the trend. And let's choose a date range. Let's choose 2010 to 2010 to 2015. Let's see what we have. So you get to see all about these fashion designers who were into so you get the entire article, you get images. Now, I know all of you, everywhere you have the option of saving it as a PDF. I know all of you love PDF, but HTML has an edge over PDF. When you are using PDF, you can download it. It's easy to read. It's light. You can read it when there's no internet. I know all the advantages of PDF. However, HTML has a little edge over PDF. The first is that when there are images, when there are pictures, from the PDF, you cannot copy paste any picture. But here you can download this picture and use it as a PowerPoint slide in your research work that you submit. The other advantage of an HTML is you see these hyperlinks. These hyperlinks do not work in a PDF. So if you need to do further research, you need to do further studies on this topic, you will not be able to do it if you're using a PDF. So this is what Oxford Art is all about. Extremely interesting site. And another feature that it has, oh gosh. Here we are. So you have subject guides, which highlight essays, biographies. You have collection guides. So let's look at each of these guides. So this tells you, gives you an idea of the collection, which library is, or which museum has this particular piece of art. Go back to tools and resources. You have subject guides. Choose whichever subject guide you're interested in. We could choose women in the visual arts. There are essays here. There are biographies. And they're all hyperlinked. So these won't work if you have a PDF version. And you have the MoMA Grove Art Resources for Educators. You have lesson plans, very interesting for lecturers. You have lesson plans here. It gives you the lesson objectives. So those who, this is very interesting for lecturers. The other most interesting part of this is you have podcasts and interviews with contemporary artists. You have the Italian Renaissance learning resources. So Oxford Art, Oxford English Dictionary, these are all very heavy products and there is a lot to learn from them. So you see here, you can choose whichever one you're interested in. Let's open this new world of learning. These are the different essays that are here. You would get images here as well under this. So I would suggest that each of you take out the time to check each of these. I will send an email out with the names of all, with the links to all these products, but I'm sure your library page takes you directly to them. But I'll still send it out to you so that when you're at home, you are able to go through this, because I can go on and we'll never finish. Then you have Oxford Music Online. The way of browsing remains the same for all platforms. You have what kind of music you're interested in, what instrument you're interested in, which era of music you're interested in, which region, and which phase of music you are in, whether you're just a librarian or an instrument maker, whether you're making instruments or whether you are creating instruments, or whether you're a choreographer, whether you're a curator, whichever form you are in, you have a lot of information here. If we go to region, or if you go to place type and we look at country, you can sort by A to Z, or you can sort by Z to A. Just trying to see if we get anything in Philippines here. Maybe page 3 should have. Yeah. So here's your country. So you can browse through country as well. Again, the tools and resources is the tab that you should look for. You have abbreviations and library sigla, you have author resources, you have subject guides, you have almost the same things that were there in Grovat. So just look at the tools and resources definitely. Moving on to the next one. I'm moving on to Oxford African American Studies Center. This is just as the page says. It gives you articles from more than 20,000 articles from top scholars. There are so many images, and it basically focuses on African American studies. The recent killing in Africa, the recent uh, problems that the US is facing, where they're saying Black Lives Matter, it's making a lot of difference. So let's look at Nelson Mandela here. He was an African. Let's look at search. See, the browsing search options remain the same. But I'm just taking up common African names. Okay, let's look at Nelson Mandela. Here we are. So when we're talking about African American, Nelson Mandela's name comes to us very clearly, because when he was jailed, it was a long walk to freedom. His is a very interesting story. Another interesting story is that of Abraham Lincoln. He was the man who stopped slavery. They broke his teeth. They killed him brutally. So Abraham Lincoln is another name which comes into mind when we talk about African American studies, because he had a very strong impact. So you can read about people like this. You can browse by which subject you're looking at, the kind of occupation you can take up, and which era. So if you're looking at the Great Depression, take a look here. And under the Great Depression, whatever you have is available here. Always take a look at the Tools and Resources tab at the top, because it does give you a lot of important information. You get subject guides and research resources. You get lesson plans. It helps you to actually create, for lecturers, it helps you to create a good session for your trainees. Find out essays about each of the topics that you want to discuss. There's a lot of information in the Tools and Artwork page, Tools and Resources page. Yeah, so these are the different essays. See this Black Lives Matter, the recent there we are. The next product is American National Biography. It gives you about 19,000 biographies of significant, influential, or notorious figures from American history. And each page pretty much looks the same. You can always sign up if you're interested to the RSS and create your own search. Let's look for George Bush. We've had two George Bushes with us. Or why not look at Barack Obama? George Bush, Washington. Let's look at, and I'm not signed in. Let's look at Americans from the field of music. These are the different Americans from the field of music. I'd like to look for Cliff Richard. Okay, we don't have Cliff Richard here. Take a look at the tools and resources here. There's a page for contributors. So if you're interested in writing a biography and you want to submit it, you have a page for contributors here. Some highly selective lists of articles are here. Look at the civil rights movement. These are all the people who were involved, and let's see who we can think of looking at. Let's look at Marian Anderson. Very latest person. Like, I know about him because he passed away and there was a lot of talk about him. So I don't have access. Again, I think there's something wrong with my sign-in. But this is what American National Biography is. Then we have Who's Who and Who Was Who. Again, this is a collection of autobiographical entries of noteworthy and influential people who've impacted British life. So you might want to see, I'll look at Raffles. That's the closest I can get to because I know Raffles was in Singapore or Britain. Here we are. So you get, I think it was John Raffles. What is wrong? Why is it not reading mine? Again, here, the advantage that this I don't know, just find out born on this day. This is something that is, to find out who was born on this day, you can get it on this particular day who was born, you can ask and get to know. So if it's your birthday, you'll get to know if there was a famous personality who shaped British life or who had an impact in British life is available or not. I would choose Mahatma Gandhi. He was very instrumental in removing the British rule from India. I'd like to see if his name is there.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, I know I'm running
Sorry to
short of
interrupt.
time.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just like to remind you of the time. You have 5 minutes left.
yes, but we still have two more products. I'll just finish these two products. Again,
Okay.
take a look at this. Just 2 more minutes, ma'am. I'll just run the other two in one minute. So take a look at the tools and resources of each site. And then you have the Oxford Islamic Studies and the Oxford Biblical Studies. The sites are pretty much the same to look at. Now, what you need to remember about both these sites is that none of these sites actually are religious texts. They give you a meaning. They're not religious books that you read, but they give you the meaning of the religious texts. So whatever is written in the Quran or whatever is written in the Bible, you would be able to see the meaning of it side by side. I don't know why I can't log in. My last attempt. Let me try. Just 1 minute, ma'am. I'll just quickly show them this. Here we are. So you see, you get the side-by-side commentary. So whatever is written in the Bible here is an explanation in simple English. If you want to view it alone, you can view it alone. Here we are. This is how it is. If you want the commentary side by side, you can choose that. So you get the entire Bible and the Quran and the meaning of the Bible and the Quran side by side for reference purposes. It's not a religious book which you read. It is on religion, explaining religion to you. So biblical studies and Islamic studies are pretty much the same. Okay, any questions, please? I know that was a lot of download for a small session, 11 products. Yes, any questions that you would want me to answer?
All right. Okay. Maybe we can address the questions in the Q&A chat box first. We have
Okay.
one from Miss Maria Rona Beriales. May I know the difference of Oxford reference from Google?
Okay, very good question. Google is where we start our search. All of us start our search from Google whenever we are looking for something. But if you go to Oxford, now from Google, you're not sure what you're getting. The content may be correct, may not be correct. When you go to a doctor and you say that, but Google told me this, the doctor tells you, why did you go to Google? So Oxford reference will give you absolutely something that has been peer reviewed, corrected, and authentic. It's very authoritative. Nobody can challenge what you use from Oxford reference in your research. It will never be challenged. That's the big difference.
All right. Thank you, Sumita. Yeah, that's correct. If you're looking for resources, of course, especially when doing research, you have to make sure that what you're using is peer reviewed and, of course, with integrity, right? So Oxford offers that. That's the main difference between Oxford and Google. So, another question: what are your policies regarding the use of images on Oxford Art Online for research that is intended to be published?
So when you're downloading an image and using it for your research, it is completely allowed because you are giving the citation information. It is saying that you have taken it from X resource and it gives you the DOI of the image and all of that. However, we do not allow any commercial representation of our images. So there's no commercial use that you can use it for.
All right. So for as long as it's cited properly, right? The source is cited
Yes.
properly. All right.
As long as
Another.
it's for
Mhm.
education, it's allowed.
Okay. All right. So last question: if we want to cite a word, meaning, or historical information from the Oxford English Dictionary, does the website provide citation formats that can help us?
That's a very good question. I'd like to take a look at it myself to see, because I've never really noticed that. Nobody's ever asked me this. Let's look at guitar. Oh. No, I don't think we have any citation, but let me just check on this. I don't think we have any cite options here. Yes, we do. Here, there it is at the top of the page. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
You do have the cite option at the top of the page.
Yes. All right. Are there any questions that our participants would like to ask? Okay, so mainly about citation and, yeah, proper citation and acknowledgement when doing research. I think that's the main thrust of the questions in today's session. Anything else that you'd like to add, Sumita?
No, I just give my email address in case anyone has
Mm-hmm.
any doubts. They can always write to me. My email address, let me just type it in the chat box. I can't see the chat box. Can I just type it here in the question answer box? Okay, it doesn't give me the option to. It's sumita.sen@oup.com.
You can type it in
SUM.
the chat box. Would you like to type it in the chat
I
box?
don't see the chat box. I can see the Q&A box.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll just
You could type it out
oh
and
there.
share it with
Miss
me. So,
Rai typed it in the chat box already. So that's sunita.sen@oup.com. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So if you have questions about Oxford reference, you may send an email to Sumita. I would also just like to add that Sumita is correct when she mentioned earlier that the Oxford reference database may be found or may be viewed from our website, mainlive.upd.edu.ph. So all 11 online reference databases that we are subscribed to under Oxford are there. There are links to the online databases. And if you're having difficulty accessing it, just send us an email at libraryinfo.updiliman@up.edu.ph. And we also, if I remember correctly, last year we conducted a user training uh, among our staff, our library staff. So they're already familiar with the Oxford reference database. So thank you, Sumita, for leading this discussion for us this morning, and of course to our participants for the interesting questions and sharing. If you have questions about Oxford, once again, you can send Sumita an email. I'd like to also acknowledge Miss Manilyn Marcaida of Megatext and Miss Jean Lim, also of Megatext. We have our feedback evaluation form posted on our chat box. Make sure to click on that before the session ends so you can answer the evaluation form. All right. So if you don't have any questions, I think that ends our webinar session this morning. Once again, on behalf of the University Library Information Services and Instruction Section, I'd like to thank Ms. Sumita Sen for leading this discussion this morning. And we have one more session today, this afternoon. So please come back for the afternoon session, and take care of yourselves, and have a great day. All right?
I, thank you so much, Isa and Manlin, and all of you, John, for organizing this session. I just wanted to add one more point. We do
All right.
sessions on how to publish with Oxford journals. It's a 2-hour session. And we also do sessions on citations, the different kinds of citations and citation manager. So if you're interested, please reach out to your library and they will get in touch with you.
Okay. All right. Wow, that's a very good piece of information for our participants who are interested in publishing. Okay. So that's it for our session this morning. Thank you again, and you have a great day, and stay safe. All right.